This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So we'll discuss about authorizations today. So let's say this is SAP server. In this, we have applications for HR, applications for finance, application for sales. Many applications are there. So to log in into this server, okay, in this server we have a client. We have our clients. So to log in into the server, you require what? User ID and password. User ID and password. So once you give a user ID and password, of course the client number as well. Okay, you are giving a client number and then you're giving a user ID and password. So then here, when you give it, you are trying to log in 800 client. Then the request goes to 800 client, and we have a table where user ID and passwords are maintained. Okay, the user ID password. So the user ID which is entered by you, is it there in this table? Yes, it is there. And the password you entered, is it matching with the password associated with this user ID? It's matching. Then you will log in. So once you log in, what do you see in 800 client? Easy access screen, right? See, I'm logging in. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of user ID? Having a user ID, guys. Hmm?
To be able to access.
Without setting a user ID, also we can access, right? If you remove that authentication, everyone can access it.
Yes, but it
To
says
identify the unique user.
database.
Why that uniqueness is required?
Um, I mean, we'll have a track of what we have done through the user ID.
Mm. So first thing, others cannot log in into the system because it is a confidential data. Only the permitted users should log into the system. That is the first thing. Second thing, each user access certain applications. the applications that they are responsible for. For example, in HR department, we have a payroll admin, time administrator, training and development administrator, performance administrator, travel administrator. Like this, there are different administrators are there. In accounting, accounting users are there. Okay, front end users. So the payroll admin, the payroll user, whoever is a payroll admin user, should not be able to access time applications, PA applications, or other applications, recruitment applications. At the same time, time administrator should not be able to access payroll applications. Okay, payroll applications. So without having a user ID, is that possible? Hmm? Without having a user ID, it's not possible.
No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir.
So that's why every admin has a unique user ID, so that to that user ID certain permissions are assigned. To that user ID certain permissions are maintained. Okay, every user role is different in the system. Okay, sometimes common roles might exist, but depending on the nature of work, I mean the area of work or the scenarios they are executing, their authorizations are granted initially when the user ID is created, and then later when the role changes, when the responsibilities are changed, the responsibilities of the user changed, then the permissions also will be changed accordingly. Permissions also will be changed accordingly. So it is continuous process. Once user ID is created, the role will not be um, constant forever. I mean, it is constant for certain time. Later, when the role changes, permissions also will be changed. For example, there is a payroll administrator. Now he is becoming a super user, like a general manager. Okay, then he should not only have payroll transactions, but also every HR transactions. The person stays, user stays, but the permissions are changed. Okay, permissions are changed to the super user permissions. Earlier payroll admin permissions. Okay, now super user permissions. Clear? Okay, so the concept of this user ID and its permissions is very common actually. Manu system lo login aina, even if you are logging into the system, okay, it'll ask you the user ID. Okay, and that user ID is allowed to access certain folders. Okay, certain folders that user may not be permitted to access. Yes or no? Agreed? Isn't it a common topic?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay, so in SAP, how, I mean, generally how this works, observe this. I am trying to access a application here. I'm trying to access an application. When I double click on it or execute this application, the screen displayed. The screen displayed. So after my clicking on this application and before the screen is displayed, in between authorization check is performed, right? So suppose Every application, as I said, is a program, right? Yes or no? Every application has a program in the back end. Info type కావచ్చు, IMD table కానీ ఫ్రంట్ ఎండ్ రిపోర్ట్ ఆర్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్, యూ నేమ్ ఎనీథing. Every application is a program. So here in easy access, I'm selecting a program. I'm double clicking on a program, a transaction code. Okay, and this transaction code associated with the program, you see, okay, this is a program. Now, when I double click on this application and before the screen is displayed, it goes to the program. The request goes to the program. Okay, the user is clicking on this transaction. So, this transaction associated with the program. Then in the program, there is something called initialization part. Okay, initialization part. Now, here, so it will identify who is a user, who is a user, what is the user ID trying to access this program, what is the role of the user, okay, role into authorization object, and what is the role of the user, does this role has required permission or not, permission to access this application, does this role have permission to access this application, if yes, what type of access, what type of access ఉంటాయండి authorizations లో, what type of accesses you see in authorizations?
I mean, admin access and normal user access. You're referring to that?
Access,
Read access and edit access.
no, read access, write access,
Okay, got it.
and no access general. Okay, read access and you can only view and read the data. Write access means you can delete, modify, create, you do a number of changes. Okay, no access means you can't even display, it won't even get into the application, it won't even show you the application screen, or it won't show you the data. So when you click on this application, the request goes to the program. In the program initialization part, um, check if this user ID has a role with required permission to access this application. If yes, then further program get executed. When this further program get executed, then it creates a screen, and that's a screen, you see it directly. What is happening in between here, you are not seeing it, you shouldn't see it. As an user, if you click on it, if the program, it goes to the program and it is executing the program, if it show you, user will be confused. So this part will be executed in the backend. Okay, so directly once permission is executed, permission is successful, then directly it shows the screen. But actually this is what happens in the backend. It's not just in this technology, it is a very common thing, any technology. And anytime you run an application, you double click on this, it goes to the associated program. In the program initialization part, will check the authorization. If he is authorized to access, then the further program get executed, then the further program will show you the next screen. As soon as the program executed, the screen will be populated automatically. Got it? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What if required permission is not there? What if required permission is not there? Then look at it. Uh, One minute, guys. Let me show you how this shows us the error. Okay, leave it. So I am trying to log in with this user ID. I just want to show you the error. If now look at this user. He's trying to access an application that he is not authorized. Then what type of message he gets? Okay, he is trying to access this application, and when he double clicks on it, then it goes to the program. Then see what happened. Okay, it says you are not authorized to run a transaction because he may not be a HR user, he may be a accounting user. So he is not authorized to access this application. So the check is failed at a program level itself. Initial ekkade here itself the check is failed. So further program is not executed. Okay, here itself it generates a message and show it to the front end user here itself in the front end screen. If the check is successful, then further program get executed. When the further program get executed, that means you are running application successfully. Is that clear? How authorization work? Yes or no, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
So then, what you need to do once you get this type of error on the screen that you need to run this application, you are supposed to run this application, but your user ID is not granted with the required permission. What you need to do? Okay, then on the same screen where you get the error, give a transaction code SU53. He is not authorized to run this transaction code even. I'll permit him to access this transaction code. Go to SU53. 1 minute. As I said, he is not permitted. రోల్ అసైన్ చేద్దాం. క్రియేట్ చేసినవి for him. So now this user can access payroll related transactions. See what transactions he can access, he can see it here. Okay, PT60 he can access, PA03 transactions he can access, these programs he can access. Okay, so I will also give SU53. Okay, I will also give SU53. So SU53 is a transaction code for which everyone will have a access. Okay, now user ID is also assigned with. Okay, now after this, once again I'm getting that error. I'm trying to access one of OM transaction TP01. Oh, permitted. ఇది permitted అని. Accounting transaction FS01. Permitted. How come? What is the user ID? Not this user ID, sorry. This one. I'm trying to access PP01 transaction. I got a error, and you are supposed to access according to your role, but somehow this permission is missing in the profile. So immediately what you need to do in real time, QSU53 transaction, SU53 transaction, then it will give you the screenshot. Okay, and take this screenshot and give it to the basis team and ask him to grant the access to this particular transaction code. So PP01, okay, what transaction code, what is the authorization object? This is what they need to see. S underscore T code is a object they need. For this purpose only, we will give this screenshot. Okay, so we take the screenshot and in the mail you attach it and give it to the basis team. Ask him to grant the access. Sometimes when you request this kind of authorizations, your manager should approve it. Okay, once it is approved, then it goes to the basis team. They will create, not basis team, security team. They will create the transaction. They assign the role, required role or authorization profile. You understood this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you have authorization, when you don't have authorization, what you need to do is this. So coming to the authorizations in SAP. So we have a earlier SAP basis team, SAP admins used to handle admin as well as the security both. Okay, security module and admin module both are handled by SAP basis team. Gradually, the role of security is being increased. Too many controls are coming in. Okay, too many additional features are coming, additional scenarios are coming. So the security is now become a separate module. Admin become a separate module. SAP basis is different. SAP security is different. And on the top of it, we also have GRC, security GRC, co-module only. So that is like a add-on or additional controls and governance on the security concept and what. Okay, so GRC and all. So to get into the GRC, security is required. Base SAP basic security knowledge is required. So there is a separate consulting for the security. Okay, so in SAP, whenever the user ID is created, okay, the user ID is created. This is the hierarchy of authorization, which we don't configure anything. Okay, generally user ID is there. This user ID is associated with the roles. Could be one role or multiple roles. Imagine role is like a payroll admin. Okay, the user ID is associated with the role. So the role is a payroll admin. So this is a authorization objects even, which will be created by basis team. I'll show you one role creation. Payroll admin role అనుకుందాం. So the payroll admin, um, he runs payroll related transactions, right? So a role is, each role is a set of authorization profiles. Each role is a set of authorization profiles. For example, authorization profile, payroll reports, for payroll reports. Authorization profile to payroll forms. Okay, profile 3, payroll tables. So because like this payroll screens, payroll forms, payroll programs ఇలా ఉంటాయి, authorization profiles are created. So a role is associated with the authorization profile. Each authorization profile is associated with the authorization objects. Authorizations అంటాం, authorization objects తీసుకోండి డైరెక్ట్లీ. ఓకే, authorization objects. Okay, so each authorization object contains authorization fields. Okay, authorization fields. So this is a hierarchy which will be created by basis team while they defining authorization. They define a role. Role is maintained with the profiles. Each profile maintained with the authorization object, and each authorization object is maintained with the authorization fields. Authorization fields ante, is it a T code? What T codes? Is it a program? What programs? Is it a write access or read access? Level of access? Ivi authorization fields. Okay, authorization object again scenario like HR master data, applicant master data, with scenarios. So this is a hierarchy in it. So during the implementation itself, these objects will be created because in the implementation only the roles are identified. The security team will create these roles and keep them ready in the system. Okay, every user role, every user role. So is the role is permanent or user ID is permanent? What is permanent?
Role is permanent, sir.
Role is permanent. Why not the user?
Uh, Role can be assigned to different users, right? If the user, you can replace the user with other user.
Mhm. See, no employee is permanent to the company. Yes or no? And admins are the employees also. Admins are employees only. Okay. So payroll admin or time admin. So they might leave the company anytime. They might get promoted anytime. Okay. So when they leave, the role stays, but the user ID is delimited. The role is in the system, stays, but the user ID will be removed. So not even access, they can't even access SAP first when they are terminated. Okay, when they shift to another role, like he is moving from time admin to the payroll admin, or from recruitment to the time admin, or time admin to the super user, general manager. So when these changes happen, organization structural changes happen, the roles also have to be changed. Yes or no? So at that time, again, instead of creating these authorizations and again, all these roles are ready in the system, the list of roles in this company. So simply remove the old roles, assign a new role to this user ID. So new permissions are granted to this user ID. So role is permanent in the system which will be created during the implementation itself. All payroll admin roles, time admin roles, OM admin role, accounting admin, material management admin, sales admin, all these admin roles are created by the security team. Okay. So when you join in a company, when your user ID is created, the first thing that you need to check is required permissions are granted to you or not. So while requesting your user creation, you should also tell him that you are a HCM payroll consultant, or you can refer another user ID which have the same permissions and roles, so that the basis team will copy your user from that user ID. All the roles get copied. It's easier for them. Okay. So I joined in the company as a payroll admin. So earlier there is a one more payroll admin. So I request basis team to create a user ID. While requesting, I'll also tell them that I should have access all the permissions that the so and so user ID has, because we both are payroll admins. So then it's easier for them to identify the role and assign them to your user ID. So the first thing, when you get a user ID created in a client, you should check all required permissions are granted to you or not. Okay, if not, what you need to do? If you're not able to access an application, what you need to do?
SU50.
SU53 transaction.
SU53 transaction.
Okay, SU53 transaction. If it is a one transaction you are missing, or all the transactions you are missing. So one transaction SU53, all the transactions, then you, there is a different way. So you request, I'm missing with all the transaction code accesses. My user ID missing is missing all the transaction code accesses on it. So this is authorization concept. Okay. So authorization, user ID can be maintained with the role, or user ID can be maintained with the authorization profile directly. In OM, position can be maintained with a job. Job is what? Set of tasks, right?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
What is the purpose of having a job? So that when a new position is created, okay, the same existing job will be assigned, so that he is responsible for that particular activities. You don't have to assign tasks to the position individually. Just assign a job, automatically the position is responsible for all the tasks. Sometimes if a position, sometimes if a position is performing one specific task, very rare or temporary period, you can assign a task to the position also. Yes or no? You don't have to assign it to the job. You directly assign it to the position. A task can be directly assigned to the position. If I assign it to the job, the problem is every position having that job, or every position associated with that job, will get this particular task. And I don't want that happen. I want one specific position to handle so and so activity. In such a case, you can directly assign task to the position. So similarly here, the user ID can be maintained with the role, which is like a job that determines set of tasks, which is like a authorization profile. A user ID can also be directly maintained with the authorization profile. Okay, in what case? So temporarily the user should have access to a T code for 2 or 3 days. Then the basis team will identify what is authorization object. With that, they create authorization field. With that, they create a authorization object, and with that authorization object, they create a profile. So instead of keeping it in the role, this profile directly assigned to the user ID with a time limitation, 2 days or 3 days. So the user can access this application only for 2 days. Clear? The user can access the application only for 2 days. So temporary accesses cases, in a special cases, is directly authorization profiles are assigned to the user ID. Authorization profiles are directly assigned to the user IDs and with a limited time frames. Okay, clear? So compare position like user ID, role is like a job, authorization profile is like a task. Is that clear? So this is a concept of security. All these things are determined, configured by basis team, security team. Okay, we just need to tell them what accesses you should have, what is your role in the system, so that they understand and then assign the role, respective role properly. So this is a very generic topic. ఈ రోల్స్ అనేవి ఇట్ ఈస్ కామన్, ఇట్స్ నాట్ ఓన్లీ ఎస్ఏపి. మీకు ఎనీ క్లౌడ్ టెక్నాలజీలో యూజర్ ఐడి ఉంటే రోల్స్ ఉంటాయి, అండ్ రోల్ ఈజ్ అసోసియేటెడ్ విత్ ద పర్మిషన్స్. సింపుల్. The way these permissions are designed is different technology to technology, but the concept is common in any technology. In navigation, assignments, it may be different, but this concept will be there in every technology. Okay, is that clear? So
Yes, sir.
when it comes to SAP, there are two types of authorizations. Okay, there are two types of authorizations. One is general authorization, another one is structural authorizations. When it comes to the HR, SAP HR, so we have a concept of general authorization and structural authorization profiles. So what is the difference between these two? We will discuss it on Monday class. Okay, what these two are, in what case general authorization is used, in what case structural authorizations are used, we will discuss this in next class. So general authorization is completely configured by basis team. Structural authorization is something that we can configure and practice, and also in a real time, this is something that we need to work with the security team closely. Structural authorization concept another. Okay, clear?
Okay,
Yes, sir.
sir.
So we'll discuss about these two things on Monday. See you on Monday, guys.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.